Hi, I'm Bhushan Glover, Special Ambassador to Black American and Working Class Affairs. I'm here to set the record straight about no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security being implemented in the president's big, beautiful bill. Now, I'm on the Ways and Means website. I pulled the entire document, and it's 132 pages, but we're going to keep it short and sweet. Okay. And it's basically dated May 13th of 2025 from the House Committee of Ways and Means. And it's the description of the tax provision of Chairman's Amendment in the nature of a substitute to the budget reconciliation legislative recommendations related to tax. Now, since our Democratic elected officials are opposing the federal government, okay, we have developed an independent branch of government outside of the two-party system that's going to do the work of the people. So here it is. Newsflash. Let everybody know. Part 2 is what we're going to focus on. Part 2 of Trump's big, beautiful bill, his one big, beautiful bill, additional tax relief for American families and workers. That's the title. Part 2, additional tax relief for American families and workers. So as a special ambassador to Black American and working class affairs, this affects the working class. A, no tax on tips. B, no tax on overtime. C, enhanced deductions for seniors. So listen, let's have these conversations. Okay. And like I said, I'm a Kendrick Lamar fan. And at the end of the day, that's not enough. Okay, we actually going to push the line. We want tax exemption for wage earners earning less than $200,000. And we want a constitutional amendment, but we will settle for this right here because it's been a debate. I put out a post and it went viral and everybody's saying it's not in the bill. It's not in the bill. I'm reading it right here in the table of contents. Additional part 2, additional tax relief for American families and workers. A, no tax on tips. B, no tax on overtime. C, enhanced deductions for seniors. And I'm going to go ahead and stay on the same template. And I'm going to go ahead and get to the meat of it and see what's going on and what exists to this day. Now, we can go in it and go through it like with a fine tooth comb. But we're going to keep it simple. We're going to, focus on the KISS method, keep it simple, stupid. So we're going to make sure we don't miss this because God's people shall not perish due to the lack of knowledge. It is what it is. Subtitle A, make American families and workers thrive again. I'm going to say this again. Make American families, workers thrive again. This is crazy. So it is what it is. Let's have these conversations. So this is time for us to, talk to our elected officials and get them to understand that we're not going to just sit back and waste 4 years because your opposition happens to be the president of the United States. Like I said, I read my Bible. My Bible says render unto Caesar's what is Caesar's, meaning we're not here to change anything, but we're here to work for the least of these because the legislation that I am attached to will change the game and it will help the American families. Okay. And I'm going to go, just stick with me for a little second and I'm going to get to it. It's a lot of, information to go through, but people are saying that it's not there. And this is why I got to do what I got to do because it's there. I seen it. I read it with my own eyes. So we got to have this conversation. Okay. Let me see here. I think I passed it up, but I will figure it out. Let me see here. Come on now. I got to give it to the people. I got to give the people what they want. I got to give them what they want. Okay. I'm looking for section 2. All right. It's a whole lot going on. And our lawmakers, like I said, they can't even work with the grassroots individuals because they got a lot of work to do. This is like to read 432 pages. That is crazy. So it's coming up. Bear with me. But I hope, I'm setting the record straight. So instead of the insults and, all of the name calling, let's go ahead and just come together as the working class and thrive together. Okay. Because the president of the United States, he understands the country. There's way more poor whites than it is poor blacks. Okay, there's way more poor whites on welfare or Social Security or unemployment than it is blacks. You know, we're only approximately 12 to 15% of the population. So we got to have these conversations, and it is what it is. And like I said, I don't want to argue. I don't want to debate. You know, let's stick to the facts and let's continue to work hard to get these things changed. And I'm just grateful that, you know, we, you know, are living in a time where we can challenge the status quo. We don't have to just sit back and just do what we're told, because our freedom is in our independence. And this is why there's a independent body in the federal government that's outside of the Republican and Democratic Party. Because if you did not know, the Republican and Democratic Party are two rivaling tribes, and they've been fighting each other for a very long time. And the Civil War was because the Democratic Party at the time, the Dixiecratic South, wanted to preserve slavery, and the federal government wanted to end involuntary servitude, but somehow, some way, they was able to put it into a bill called the Vagrancy Act of 1866. And this is why we have involuntary servitude today, and it's in our mass incarceration system. So I believe we're getting there. We're getting close, and it is what it is. And if you did not know, Trump has signed executive action to basically self-deportation. Okay, self-deportation, meaning a plane ticket, $1,000, and you don't have to, you can go anywhere. The plane ticket is anywhere you want to go. You can't stay here, but you got to go somewhere. So we're proposing a self-incarceration. Okay, could you imagine that? A teacher has some kids that are just unruly, disrespectful, and all of the above, and they can actually put in, a recommendation that instead of going to the next grade, that you pretty much incarcerate these kids for 7 years, because before they shoot you, shoot your child, rob you, brutally beat you, they will be behind bars learning and being corrected, and their rites of passage will take 7 years. And when they are able to leave the program, they will be actually where they need to be. Okay, so it is what it is. And I'm running on, and I think there it is right there. Perfect timing. Part 2, additional tax relief for American families and workers. A, no tax on tips. Under the present law, tips are generally includable in an individual gross income and subject to federal income and federal employment taxes. It's right there. Part 2, additional tax relief for American families and workers. A, no tax on tips. Bam, it's right there. Okay, we're not going to go through the red tape right now, because God is not the author of confusion, and I'm not going to confuse you today. It just says it right there. Okay, now let's go ahead. We'll get to the meat of it. We'll figure it out. But I just wanted to let you know. So when you sit back and you see these videos and you sit back and say, it's not in there, that's a bald-faced lie. It's in there, and I'm showing you, and I just showed you. Okay, I just showed you. Now, all of this red tape that goes with it, we can have these conversations, but we're going to break it down and simplify it so most of us can actually understand it. And it is what it is. It is what it is. So let me see what we got coming up next. Bam. No tax on overtime. B, no tax on overtime. Present law. Under present law, overtime is generally includable in an individual's gross income and is subject to federal income and federal employment taxes. It's right there. It's right there. B, no tax on overtime. So no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. And 3, we're going to see what the legislation says about no taxes on Social Security. And I believe it's an adjustment, because it did not say no tax on Social Security. So it's coming up. I appreciate you guys bearing with me. And we're going to close it out with the facts. Okay. C, enhanced deductions for seniors. So they're not saying no taxes on Social Security, but there's enhanced deductions. An individual who does not elect to itemize deduction reduces adjusted gross income, which is AGI, by the amount of the applicable standard deduction in arriving at taxable income. The standard deduction is the sum of the basic standard deduction and, if applicable, the additional standard deduction. The basic standard deduction varies depending upon the taxpayer's filing status. For taxable years beginning in 2025, the amount of the basic standard deduction is $15,000 for unmarried, $22,000 for head of the household, and $30,000 for individual filings. Boom, there it is. So don't say it's not in there. So let's fight for the rights of the people. Let's not listen to all the propaganda that the opposition of the United States and the federal government, puts out on a daily basis. We can and we will. The working class, it's our time.